Hey, I'm going to show you what we are using for my 7-year-old son going into, or he is in 2nd grade. We do homeschool kind of year-round. We're very relaxed, but we do touch school regularly throughout the year. And so we have been using some of this, so I can kind of speak to how we're enjoying it so far. So for math, we are using Horizons 3 for him. He finished most of his 1st grade work back in February, and we started Horizons 2, Book 2 at that point. He was using mathematical reasoning and really liked it, but his older brother, basically my 7-year-old was going to start using the same book his older brother was using, and I was worried about him catching up to older brother and how that would kind of affect older brother. So we switched programs for this child, and he's liking it. He asked to continue with Horizons, so we are going to be starting Horizons 3 with him. He just finished Horizons 2, that's Book 2. He just finished Horizons 2 a couple weeks ago, so he just started this, and we're enjoying it. It has quite a bit of review at the beginning. One thing about Horizons is it does have a lot of practice, which is great, but sometimes it's just too much practice, especially for this child. So I had him to skip these entirely on concepts that I feel like he needs to continue to work on it, but doesn't need quite as many practice problems. I might say something like, do 4 of these and let me check them. But he enjoys this program. He likes that it's colorful. There's a lot of varied activities that he really enjoys, and it's pretty rigorous, I guess. He is very math-minded, so he is doing great with this. And so this is some of the concepts in Book 1, and then in Book 2 it continues, and Horizons is a spiral approach, so they practice the concept, and then it doesn't just disappear. They will come back to it, and they will continue to practice it. So it keeps them, it makes sure that they are continuing to practice those concepts and aren't forgetting them once they've moved on to something else. Horizons teacher guide, I don't love it, but I did get one. I found one for only $8, and I feel like I occasionally use it. For $8, it was worth picking up. So it has the concept that you will be using in this lesson. It has what the student should learn. It has a few teacher tips, supplies, and then it does have some information about what the teacher should do. But overall, Horizons kind of leaves me wanting on the actual teaching. But for $8, I felt like it was worth having just so I could reference it if there was a concept that I kind of wanted to see what they had to say about it. For science, we are using Real Science Odyssey. We have been using this chemistry since January. Our science is kind of on a different schedule. It usually takes us about a year to finish, and we have been starting in January. So we are about halfway through the chemistry, and my kids love this program. It is a secular science program, so if you are looking for that, I highly recommend Real Science Odyssey by Pandia Press. And it will list the materials here. It'll say what to read aloud to the student, the procedure, and then there is the student page right in this book. What I also love about this is it gives, here's a suggested weekly schedule, but it gives reading suggestions for every topic, which I love. We are a book family, so I love having other reading ideas. My kids love this program. They think it's really fun. So this is my older son's book, the teacher's manual, etc. And then I picked up the student pages for my younger son. So these are just like the lab pages. Some of the, like for my notebook, we don't have a separate notebook like science notebook or whatever that they use. But this kind of introduces the new topic, and then all the student pages. So they have really enjoyed this, and this is a program we will definitely be sticking with. For handwriting, my son does need a little extra practice, and so we picked up this to work on. He is doing great with it, but he tends to rush, and then his handwriting gets so I can't read it. So that's really what we're working on this year, making sure he's forming letters properly and just working on making his handwriting legible. For history, we have been working on Story of the World. My kids like it. We just don't really get to it much. So when we finish book 1, we'll move on to book 2. For language arts, we are using The Good and the Beautiful, and it covers all these topics here. We, however, mostly use it for grammar. And it's so inexpensive that I don't feel like I'm missing out by like not using it for the other topics very heavily. Because it's a very thick book, and I feel like we get our money's worth. Even though we don't use the spelling, we don't really need it for the phonics. But pages like this, where they are editing, finding errors, I feel like it's really helping my kids with grammar, and they enjoy it. And they ask to stick with it. For social studies, like I said, we are using Story of the World for history, but I just feel at this age, I don't know, history is fantastic and my kids love it, but at this age, I kind of want them to focus more on social studies, learning about the world around them, and that kind of thing. So more of a social studies focus than a history focus. And so we have been using Moving Beyond the Page, and I am mostly using it for social studies units. So we're using level 7 to 9, and I just purchased 1 unit at a time and then print it out for both of my sons. So far, we started these back in February, and so far we have done units on communities change over time, and it's literature based, so we're reading some great books, and then some of the stuff we skip. There's some things that we just kind of skip over. Okay, we kind of skipped a lot in here. So anyway, but they're pretty inexpensive. This unit, we did both the social studies and the language arts at the same time. So I think that's why it kind of felt like a lot, and we skipped. There were some concepts that were just kind of covered in both, so if it was already kind of covered in the other, we skipped it. But overall, they have really, I think, enjoyed doing these Moving Beyond the Page units. So we did communities and culture, we did, people change the world, so kind of how they can be a good citizen, what they can do in their community, how to be a good leader. They got to act out a story here, learning about how scientists have changed the world. So this was a short unit. We are just finishing up the economic cycle, so they learned about supply and demand, how to spend money when you're on a budget, and just kind of about economic supply and demand, and what that looks like, which they had a lot of fun with that one. Up next, we are kind of changing from the social studies units. We're doing a science unit about the rainforest, and the language arts unit that goes along with this. We are a science-loving family, so even though we are doing the Real Science Odyssey over here, we do a lot of other science as well. So this one, they are going to, I have not printed out the language arts unit quite yet for this one, but they're going to learn about the rainforest, what lives in the rainforest, relationships between the people, animal, plants that live there, the culture there, and then the language arts unit. I haven't printed that out yet, but since I purchased the online units and print them out, then the teacher's guide is, I just do it right on my iPad. It's very handy. And my 7-year-old son and my 9-year-old son, we do these all together. So we have really enjoyed these, and I kind of pick and choose which units we're going to do since I just buy the online unit. So geography, there is geography in the Good and the Beautiful, and we do use it, but my kids kind of just wanted more. I didn't feel like there was much in there. And then especially when you move from level 2 to level 3, it is essentially the exact same geography. And I get that review is awesome, but my kids like geography, and they kind of already knew the concepts, especially my 9-year-old knew the concepts in level 2, so repeating it in level 3 without anything extra was just kind of going to be not very exciting for him. So we did daily geography last year, and they liked it, and they wanted to continue with it. They're very short lessons. They're supposed to be a week long. We do them in a day. So I will read this. We'll kind of learn about what's going on, the vocabulary, and they're supposed to answer one question a day, but especially for my 2nd grader, these questions are very short and quick, so he just does every question in a day, and we maybe do this 1 or 2 times a week, and it's fun. It kind of just is a quick way to start learning about maps and geography. We're also using, so all of these are Evan Moore, and they're very, I feel like they are a great way to just kind of touch on subjects in a very easy but thorough way. They just pick them up, open to the page, and it's pretty open and go, which we really love. So I picked up this word a day, and my kids really like it. It doesn't look exciting, it's not bright and colorful, but they really enjoy this. So it'll have the word, it'll say what kind of word it is, the definition, a sentence, and then which of these is an example of that word. And then at the end of the week, there are review questions, and my kids just really like these, so they're having fun with it, and we're learning some new words. For spelling, we don't use the Good and the Beautiful spelling. I prefer the open and go type spelling, or any curriculum really. So we are using Evan Moore, and my kids really like this too. So it will have a spelling list, and they write it once, and then they do the various activities each day. And then there are dictation sentences back here that I read to them for each week. And then they take the test, and they are really enjoying this, and it's super quick and easy. Critical thinking, we did these last year as well, and this was another one that my kids wanted to make sure that they got to continue with. They pick this up, and they do as many pages as they like in a sitting, and I've really enjoyed it. So this one kind of starts with like holidays, and then it moves on to animals, and they're just really fun, quick activities that they're doing. And then finally, I just wanted to show a few kind of like what my son is reading right now. So we don't really do assigned reading. They pick what they want to read, and they read it, and it's working for us. So he just got this one. His sister's birthday was yesterday, so this was a book he got as a big brother present. Does anyone else do that? We do. And then he's reading Magic Treehouse. This will go well with our rainforest. So he's kind of reading those on and off. Right now he is flying through the Heroes in Training series. And then we just finished reading Where the Mountain Meets the Moon aloud, and loved it. And he finished his Barnes & Noble reading chart, and this was one of the free books from Barnes & Noble that you could choose through the summer reading program. And he said he wanted to get this book so that he could reread it on his own and have it whenever. And this book, oh my goodness, it is such a great book. Everyone enjoyed it. It kind of has these stories within the story. It has a few beautiful illustrations. So we all enjoyed this book, and he was excited to reread it himself. So that's just sort of some of the things he'll be reading. We like I said, we don't assign reading. We just kind of find things at the library, and they read what they like. So thanks for watching, and comment below if you have any questions, or, if there's anything here that you want to know more about.